Not yet. Not yet. There we go.
Got it?
Yeah, let me pull it up.
All right. All right, good morning, everyone. We have people still coming into the meeting here, so we'll give them just a minute to get into the meeting. It's 9:01. We'll get started as soon as we possibly can, and Kara's gonna go ahead and pull up our slides here as soon as possible. Also know that we're recording this meeting. We will send this out to those that are unable to be here, but also those that are, because there's a wealth of information here that we need from you as soon as today. And again, anything we can do to assist you will make your experience that much better. All right, let's go to the agenda here, Kara, if we could. Again, thanks for everyone being here. Congratulations on qualifying for semifinal football down at US Bank Stadium. Thank goodness we are indoors this week. Appreciate everybody's patience last week with changing sites and weather, so on and so forth, to get to where we are here today. From our office here, we're going to have Kara's obviously running the meeting here, sharing the slides. Most of the information will go back to her that we've asked to be sent out. Rachel's on my meeting here, and she'll work with our dance teams, our cheer squads. She'll coordinate. We need that information from you again to assist her to do that job. Rachel's done this as long as I've been here, and long before that. She does a great job in giving those students a great experience as well. Much of that is our halftime performances. Jason Nickleby from our office is here. Mike Spanier with our officials is here as well. Ted Schultz, I believe, is here as our tournament manager. Ray Kirch may be here as well, although he has a meeting downstairs with region secretaries. And then Mike Hennon as well will be one of our game day managers down at US Bank Stadium. So you'll hear from them, as well as Laura from our office and Tim Layton, as well as for media. Much of today, as we move to that next slide, Kara, is going to be about the management communication, things that we need back from you, again, to assist you in your experience down at US Bank Stadium. Anything that you can get to us today will be greatly helpful in terms of just making sure we streamline that information as well. In terms of communication, again, use that guidelines for participating school. Each of you should have that. Let's get those forms in today. Things like the band directors, cheer, dance. I know I've heard from a couple schools that would like to do some things at halftime. We need to start coordinating that ASAP, as well as your logos. All right. Any logos that we can get from you, we'll get those down to US Bank Stadium. Those are utilized for the graphics, for the scoreboard, so on and so forth. And then again, the transfer of care policy, if you can complete that, send that in. That is on your dashboard as well. Then you do not have to bring it with you down to US Bank Stadium. If your information hasn't changed, again, just let us know that. We can utilize your admittance forms, things like that from last week. From a coach's perspective, video exchange should happen before noon today. Please make sure you've looked at those brackets. All right, that home team is that bottom team on the designated brackets. If there has been any injuries from the quarterfinals, we'll need that release of information again. Prior to that game or before that game, we're going to need to know that. If we have doctors that are on the field, that you're bringing a doctor along with your trainer, please know that the Minnesota State High School League trainers that we are hiring and our doctors will make the final calls on any injuries. All right, so your doctors and trainers are welcome to be there, but it will be our doctors and trainers that will be making that final call in terms of an injury. Please note that games will start on time that they are listed at. We will not start early. We have adjusted times this year to try and assist with staying on schedule to the best of our ability. It also, as we get into the building, we'll talk about that home side, the difficulty getting in that Medtronic area, that Delta Club area as well. Also cut off on this slide, what you can't see is you will have a guaranteed 20-minute warm-up for the semi. Again, that is for the coaches. Ted, I know, is sharing some things in the chat there as well. Ted, you want to come on and say hello and maybe mention what you're sharing and any information based on what we've already said, just to highlight. Ted, are you able to unmute?
Yep, absolutely. So I'm just throwing in there, just you should each team and AD should have a host, and I threw a link to the brackets first off, so you can click on there, see who should be contacting you today. The second document is their contact information. If you need to call them or email them with questions, you should have that. And then the third document, I know he mentioned some film stuff. I'll put on their access map to the coach's box as well as to where you go and film. So those are some of the most frequent questions that we get on any type of the arrival or details from getting into the locker room, onto the field, and getting the pregame stuff set. So I'll throw that in there as Bob's going through that. And if there's other questions, host related or logistically related, I can certainly help.
And I will take a breath here in a couple of slides to answer questions. This is meant to be a conversation, again, to assist you. Ted and Ray and Michael do a great job in hosting you, getting you to where you need to be. Please know that on Saturday, our locker rooms, there will be spaces for you, much like a year ago, but we probably have no locker room space if you've been down there before, as we traditionally know it. Dallas is coming in early for their game on Sunday, so you will be in a locker room that doesn't look like a locker room. Making sure that valuables aren't in that locker room. Encourage your student athletes, coaches, not to leave things in there. We haven't had a whole lot of issues in the past, but again, we're going to do the best that we can to make sure that you have a space to change and so on and so forth. But other than that, please do not leave valuables there. Let's go ahead and move forward here. Frequently asked questions. I tested them out. We have new headsets this year. They've been refurbished. Portaphone are our headsets. You will have the ability to utilize those. Basically, what you have is you have a head coach, you have two coordinators, and then you have, I believe, 3 per position on each side. For those headsets, you're welcome to use your own. Just know that the frequencies in US Bank Stadium make communication really tough with those headsets. We know that the portaphones work due to a lower level frequency that they use. You're welcome to use those, but you do not have to. Huddle is your responsibility. I do have a slide in there that I will show you. If you've been there before, you know, again, that distance in which you're communicating with Huddle, I would say it's hit or miss. Use your representative prior to getting down there to assist you with those big game or big stadium connections is what they will call it. And that setup, I do have a link for you. Do not bring your own water. We'll have water down there for you. What I do recommend is your own individual set of water bottles. There will be cups there, but for a timeout or in the locker room, if you want to fill an individual set of water bottles, or a defensive set or an offensive set, however you organize that, but please do not bring water into the stadium. No Gatorade, no Powerade, things like that to put in the water. US Bank and the Vikings do not want that on the turf. Please make sure that, again, you're obliging with this on your way in. Ted, anything I missed there?
No, that was good. Also, if you can remind in celebration with the water and the Gatorade, is they don't like them dumped on the coaches. So we'll try to do the best we can to manage that as well.
Yep, keep the water in the water jugs. We get it. You want to celebrate, so on and so forth. What you have in your locker room, we don't have a problem with that. Again, make sure it stays in the bottle, so on and so forth. Ray's noting that you have one head coach and one headset per coordinator. Again, is a reminder of that. We're going to do a post-game handshake for the semis only. When it gets to TV for the prep bowl, that becomes a little more complicated. Spalding footballs must be used. We'll have an extra set of broken in footballs here that you're welcome to bring out there with you, along with the ball that you received. But Spalding footballs need to be used. I'm going to take a breath there for a moment. ADs or coaches, especially around frequently asked questions here. Any questions at this time, please feel free to unmute and ask them.
Bob, it's Joel from Ricori. I'm just wondering, when people get dressed in the locker room, are they supposed to take their bags in and put them in the hallway, or what's the plan on that?
No, you should be able to leave your stuff in the locker room during the contest if that's what you're asking about. But we'll need to get you out of there, as soon as possible following each game. That really should not change. Correct, Ted?
Yeah, let me jump in on, I made a note on locker room. So typically your host will contact you. If you get there early, you can't enter the locker room until after halftime of the game previous. So if you arrive before then, we put the bags in the hallway and then we march the teams around up into the bleachers and they're able to kind of sit and watch the game. Some teams come 2 games early. We don't recommend that, but if that's something you want for your experience, you do that, and we'll put your bags in the hallway. But then you cannot come back down from the stairs until halftime has completed, and then you can get into your locker room. So then you'll use that locker room for your pregame portion. And then once you head out on the field, the teams that are just finishing are coming back into that locker room to use the other half of it. So we always kind of ask the teams, like, if you're leaving, you put your stuff on one side, and then if you're coming in, you put your stuff on one side. And then once you come in after the game is concluded, you really should try to be out of there by the end of the first quarter of the game that's taking place after you. So we can get them cleaned up in that second quarter and ready for the new teams coming in at halftime.
Ted, did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, good. Other question is, first game, what time can they be there? Again, I would monitor on School Space Media, how that game's going before you, or have a contact person down there. First game, Ted, what do we usually tell them prior to that contest?
In terms of getting in there, I think it's an hour 45 prior is when they open the gates in terms of entrance.
Yeah, and not coming before that, because getting into that dock area will be difficult. About an hour and 45, look, if you can keep it under 2 hours, that'd be beneficial, especially on that first game. And we'll work with you to the best of our ability to help you. We'll talk about buses here. Carrie, you can go on to that next slide. Again, part of the information we need is to get you in and out. Odds are you will not, your buses will not stay down below, especially as they're getting ready for that NFL game on Sunday. They will park your buses in another area. There will be a map to get your bus driver there. Bus drivers can get in to the game through the pass gate as well. And again, there will be a map. Sorry for the spacing on this slide here. I didn't notice that. When you leave, all right, no leaving your buses down below. Again, especially as we get later in that day, your team should not be going up to see their parents. All right. So in that legacy gate area, it becomes pretty congested. Making sure that if you are going to leave, you're welcome to come back. Get your kids on the bus, go out. You can come back in that pass gate if you'd like, or your bus is going to need to leave. But that last game of each day, our team should not be going up to see their parents. You can designate a spot to meet them either back at your school, but we're going to want to get the teams out, get the workers out, get our staff out of US Bank Stadium on those last games. They should not be going up to see their parents. Please work with your booster clubs with their parents to notify them of that. But let's get those information back to us today in terms of number of buses and trailers and approximate time of arrival. Your band buses, our band hosts will be working with them. Again, we need that information. Band buses will be dropping off. You're going to have to get a permit for them to go ahead and park in Minneapolis. Again, as identified in your guide for participating schools.
Hey, Bob.
Yep.
Hey, sorry to interrupt. So all band buses go to the Pintair gate now. this year, correct?
Not necessarily.
Okay, because I'm seeing two different things in there.
Yeah, it
The
depends on
participating
what side
school-
that you're on. If you're the home team or away team, Craig Canham and Emmett will work with you on the drop off. Some they may bring down below, Mike, but when it gets congested down there, you have a lower level entry on that away side, that visiting side where they bottom load for those bands.
Okay, because it changed in the semifinal, and I thought I read it the other way, where it says all teams now in the legacy gate and all, or the down below, and all bands on the Pentair.
Yeah, well, Kara, let's take a look at that. I'll talk to Craig. I don't believe that's accurate.
Okay, all right. Sorry
right.
if I misread that.
Yeah, and then Mike, we will take care of if there is a female participant
Yep,
to have an alternative site for them to be able to get ready as well.
Cool. Thanks.
And if anybody else other than Elk River has a female participant that will need to accommodate, please put that in the chat as well. Thank you. All right, let's keep moving here.
I got a quick question on busing
Yep,
before we go off that. You said the bus drivers get in through the pass gate.
yep, that is
Do
correct.
we have to give the name of the bus drivers to anybody, or how do they get in?
You can identify that, or they can identify with their ID. Typically, bus drivers have an ID and they'll get in.
They also need to sign in.
Yeah.
There'll be a sign-in sheet.
Okay, and then one last thing is we don't have a trailer. We have a van that we bring all the equipment in. When I fill out that Google form, should I count that as a trailer?
No, I would identify that you have a van. There'll be no personal vehicles that are allowed down there. If you have coaches that drive a pickup or whatever, if you have a school vehicles, we'll be able to get those in, or your van. We don't want coaches coming in their own vehicle and driving in down below. They would have to come in the pass gate.
Yeah, both of one's a van, one's a van that's emptied, filled with all of our equipment. So I'll just put that up, 2 vans with it. So
Yeah, or just count it as a bus if there is not a van designation in the form.
Okay.
Because it's for your team, correct? Not for
Yes,
the band.
yep.
Okay.
thank you.
All right, I'm gonna invite Jason and Mike into this. They don't need to comment. That being said, go ahead and Mike and Jason, correct me on anything that I speak incorrectly on. Instant replay is used in the semis and in the finals. What you need to know is there's 4 areas that will be reviewed, especially for our coaches. Any scoring play or potential scoring play, any turnover or potential turnover, and any play in the last 2 minutes of the first half, and any play in the last 2 minutes of the game or overtime will be reviewed. You're going to see this in the next slide, and I'll say it on a number of different times here today. The officials on the field are not calling for the review. The communication, the sideline attendant who gets the information, that comes from our booth up top. They're going to actually be in a control room. We have 2 officials that will make that call. They will stop that play on the field. They will make that determination, relay that communication back down to the field. Coaches, there is no flag. You're not going to ask for that review. These are the 4 areas in which replay will occur. And then if you could go to that next slide, please, Kara. Again, some of the things I just mentioned, we do have sideline attendance. Coaches may not request a review. Let's not lose our minds down on the field or point up at the scoreboard or so on and so forth. Again, we will take a look at what we can, what board policy is on replay, and the communication will take place from the booth and 2 officials that are up there back down to that sideline attendant. Only the play can only be stopped if the ruling on the field meets those 4 areas for that credential. So know what we're reviewing, know what we're not reviewing. Again, this will assist our officials in hopefully getting that play or those plays correct. Mike and Jason, feel free to chime in on anything regarding officials at this time as well.
Bob, Mike Spanier here. I would just some things that have come up in the past in the semifinals and the finals is that uniform issues. And I would just request that coaches and athletic directors be aware that we will continue to monitor and enforce uniforms that are not in compliance, in particular streamers and those kinds of things. Kneecaps covered and so on. We will ask players to take care of it. If not, they will be asked to leave the field for a play and not return until it's been addressed. So just avoid any kind of embarrassment that might occur on the field, regardless of what's been done all year long, which is a statement we oftentimes hear.
Yeah, great points there, Mike. Jason, anything else?
I don't think so. I think just a couple things just to follow up on replay. The premise in replay is that the ruling on the field is correct, and they will only make a change or an adjustment if they have video evidence that 100% suggests otherwise. And again, it needs to be in a competitive game, and it needs to fit our replay policy. So it's not like college or the NFL where we look at everything. There's a specific set of circumstances we'll stop the game for. And the officials are just going to officiate the way that they've been asked to do so all year long from a mechanics and judgment and rule standpoint, and replay will get involved if it has to.
Excellent. Thank you, Jason and Mike. Uniforms is a big deal, making sure that they're conform with NFHS rules. We should not have made it this far in the season, but sometimes that does happen, or we get new uniforms, things like that. Make sure they comply with those NFHS rules. Ted, I'm seeing quite a bit in chat here. Maybe you've answered some of them, maybe you haven't. Flags, handheld signs are not a problem. Flags that are on a hockey stick or large flags that are on a pole of sorts will not be allowed in. There will be people taking a look at those signs to make sure they're appropriate. Admin reps, you need to make sure that you're down in front of your student sections, making sure that any signs and or shirts, anything with language on them, that they're appropriate as well. Admin reps, we need your assistance to be there throughout the game to make sure that we get your teams in and out of the arena. ADs are not allowed to be down below. No district vehicles down below in that loading dock. Parking is on your own. Anybody that doesn't come with those teams, great question. Those go through the legacy pass gate. Your admittance form should identify that you're on that team. Anything you can do to get them to come with you will assist them in getting in the building so they don't have to wait. Ted, anything I missed there on chat that we can answer as well?
No, I think that looks good.
All right, let's go to that next slide then. Thanks, Ted. Huddle. Huddle will, again, this is a link to assist you in getting your setup for Huddle. If you've been there before, you know that the connectivity can be cumbersome in terms of your signal. Contact your rep if you need assistance on that big stadium setup. This will assist you. You won't have a whole lot of time to get set up once you get in there for troubleshooting, so on and so forth. Have an idea, have a plan as to who's assisting you with your Huddle. And if you are not using Huddle, let us know, put that into chat as well. I'd say we're about 95% of our schools are using Huddle. Again, you're on your own for that setup and that connectivity to assist you. If we can, let's go on to that next slide here. Again, home and away. If you're on that home team side, that Medtronic club, the Delta club area, very difficult to get in and out. Work with your parents. This is a map that shows where they will be at. People are welcome to stay for the entire day, but some of your fans want to be right there on that 30 to 30 yard line or the 50 to the best of their ability. Know that we're going to do our best to get people down there, but we have to get people out before we can get them into their seats as well. They're welcome on either side of that Medtronic area. That's much easier to get in and out of. We'll do our best to put our bands in a place that works with you. Note where your student sections are as well, to make sure that you're not sitting in the wrong place. It's miserable to try and move your fans during a contest, but we will do so because someone's going to need to be there every other game. So again, identify where your crowds will be, where they will sit. Our band hosts will assist you in getting them in. But again, that home team side, if you've been there before, really difficult when we have our large crowds. You basically have to go down to the bottom to get back up. They're going to assist and let you in, but there is waiting that will take place. Part of the reason, again, why we changed our game times to try and buy us a little more time in between to try and get people in those seats. If you see that legacy gate to the left there, down below, people can sit there as well if they don't want to wait in line, to make sure that they have a place to see so they don't miss any of that game. Kara's cursor was just there. Those sections behind or in front of that legacy gate area is a place where they can, they can sit until their seating clears out. All right, I'm going to keep moving here. Ted and Ray, stop me if there's anything else. I'm going to show you just again multiple views of US Bank Stadium. This is that legacy gate area. You can see in red where that pass gate is. Anybody that is on an admittance form doesn't come with the team. Bus drivers, it's that far right. Looking at the forecast, those doors will not be open this weekend, but there is a door there to get in with the pass gate. That's where some of our workers will be coming in as well. The next slide will show a different view of the stadium. Here I'm showing where that bus entry is. You can drive right by it if you're not watching. Note where that ticket area, kind of by that Eco Lab Skyway area, will be a ticketing area as well. Again, all of our tickets are purchased electronically. Please note that there are no reverse ATMs at US Bank Stadium for your crowd as well. Again, it is a cash-free facility. No reverse ATMs at US Bank Stadium. Prepare your constituents, your parents, grandparents, so on and so forth. Laura will talk ticketing, but let's make sure that everybody gets able to get a ticket, work ahead of time, so you don't have to wait in line once you get down to the stadium. All right, again, Mike noted here on that next, that's that Pentair gate. Some of your buses will be dropping off there. It's off of South 6th Street. Again, and that's a cutout area to be able to get in and get out for some of those buses. Let's go to that next slide. Again, I'm going to zip through these quickly and then we'll get to Laura and Tim. Just a reminder again, with overtime, tie-breaking procedures, that has not changed. Be aware of that. You can move on to the next one, please, Kara. Again, just a reminder, anybody that is on the field needs to be 7th grade or older. That includes ball boys, ball girls, any personnel. They need to be 7th grade or over. Everybody needs to be eligible in terms of bylaw 206. All right, chemical violations, code of conduct violations. Unlike the regular season, they cannot be on the field in street clothes. They would need to be up in the stands or up in the seats. Again, any ejections, please note that you are not allowed on the field in street clothes or anything else. You would also need to be up in the bleachers or up in the seats. Good question by Jeff, their spotter. They can come in that pass gate, Jeff. We'd love to have those spotters, and we'll get them. They'll get them up to the PA area to assist them, up by that control room as well, to assist them in doing a quality job with PA. Again, any disqualifications now, you don't need to report those. We're at US Bank Stadium. We'll get those taken care of. All right, let's go on to that next slide, please. Whoever's been with you during the year, we're able to be there. We have so many sideline passes for your coaches. Please note that this is the policy and those numbers. So we'll get you those sideline passes. Again, we have some flexibility. If you've had people with you throughout the season, they can be on the sideline. Again, but let's not have our 9th grade team or our 7th and 8th grade teams join you that haven't been with you all year. It's intended for who has been with you all year. All right. And we'll work with you. Your team host will work with you on your your sideline passes or your tags that you will be wearing. COVID, if you have COVID situation, please note that you don't have to worry about rosters as much in football, but there is information still around COVID. Hopefully we do not have to worry about that. Let's keep going here, please, Kara. All right, at this time, I'm gonna turn it over to Tim, I believe. Tim, do you want to speak to media and or reps in terms of photographers, so on and so forth? Tim?
Yes, very good. Thanks, Bob, and good morning, everyone. And congratulations to all of you for your season's journey, which is going to bring to you to US Bank Stadium in downtown Minneapolis. The student media program is very much still in effect for the football semifinals as well as the Prep Bowl. Last night, the activities administrators in your schools received an email from the league sharing information about the media pieces as it relates to your student media, being able to have the experiential learning ability at this event. What that means, school media is defined as 2 students, and they are defined as a videographer, a team photographer, yearbook editor, a student reporter, anything that you as an activities administrator deem as appropriate that falls under that student media category. The faculty advisor is also a part of the school media program. All of these credential applications have to flow through the activities administrator. UADs were sent a link last night. You have until noon tomorrow to update your school media that will be on site. Just a reminder, the designated team photographer program was discontinued last school year, and they do not qualify for an on-field credential. The only adult that should be granted on-field access would be that faculty advisor. Please feel free to reach out to me with individual questions or concerns at tlayton@mshsl.org. Thank you for your time and your attention, and safe travels to the Twin Cities this week. Bob, back to you.
Thanks, Tim. Tim, please see in the chat there, it looks like Dave Schneider, Eden Valley Watkins, maybe didn't get that email. The number of games that I was at on Friday and Saturday, we did have media in that coach's box area, both photographers and print media. That is something that will not occur at US Bank Stadium. That is an area for your teams. Please remember that that team box is down to the 15-yard line now. There should be no outside groups or media inside your coach's box area. We're going to work to make sure that that is a place for you to be able to coach and not to be disturbed, other than for those reasons only.
And Bob, if I may, if I could add one additional piece, administrators, if you could please share this information with your student media and your faculty advisor. Like the rest of the groups, you do also check in at the Legacy Gate, and you have 2 options. Once you get to the Legacy Gate, you can go to the press box level, which is level 3, or the field level, which is -2. Upon arriving and being admitted at that Legacy Gate, please instruct them to take a right and to follow the signage either to level 3 for the press box or field level -2. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to turn it over to Laura at this time. Laura's got a number of slides to go through with you again that will assist both your community and our teams as well. Before we do that, Laura, there was a question on the sideline passes or those tags. You will get new sideline passes. Those will not be those will not work for the semis and or the Prep Bowl. You will get those when you arrive from your team host, I believe. Laura, I'm going to turn it over to you here. We can go ahead and move forward to the next slide.
Great. Thanks, Bob. And again, welcome everyone and congratulations. A couple of slides to walk through to facilitate you and your communities as you prepare for your state tournament trip. This slide shares again where ADs and coaches go to find information that Kara and others have uploaded for your state tournament trip. From your dashboard, you see that large blue banner that says sports and activity information or my sport and activity information. That button that says sports and activities, when you click on that, you will get a number of those blue bands. This one happens to be a golf one. Coaches, you'll see those blue bands just for the sports you coach. ADs, you'll see that blue band for every sport or activity that your school has. The little plus over on the right-hand side opens up that band and provides all of those resources for you. The state tournament resources on the right-hand side is where Kara is dropping all of the resources for you. It also has a student media handout. This recording will be posted there. That's really your go-to place to find all of those resources that may have hit you by email or some other form. This is where all of those are. And again, this is ADs and coaches, so it's a lot of logistical type information. The next slide is what you want to share with your communities and fans. From the sports and activities page button at the top, the football button opens up state tournament resources. These are often things that ADs are looking for to collect, to share out to their community. Directing them to this page is intended to save you an awful lot of time with that. I would draw your attention to just a couple of the ones on there, but one of them, there is a tournament spectator guide. And that is really a comprehensive type printable document that is intended to let your fans and spectators know everything that they need to do to attend. So ADs, you will likely save yourself a lot of time if you preview that and share that out with your communities. The next slide refers to ticketing. All tickets for US Bank are $16 for adults, $10 for students. That is inclusive of all taxes and fees. At US Bank, they do not allow tickets to be presented in a printed PDF or a printed ticket. They need to be shown on a smartphone in that Ticketmaster app, or they can be pushed to your Apple or Google Wallet. But a PDF, either an email or a printed one, will not gain entry at US Bank Stadium. Once those tickets are purchased, they can be transferred. So if one person buys multiple tickets, they can be transferred to others. But again, they do need to be in that app or through your Apple or Google Wallet. Kara, if you go ahead, a couple of other things. A reminder that each qualifying team's AD will receive 4 complimentary tickets for each game to be held, each session to be held at US Bank. These can be used at your discretion. Often they're used for your administrative reps, additional staff, or other folks within your school. Those will be sent out of our office this week. They do come looking like a US Bank Ticketmaster type email, so be on the lookout for those as they come. Moving forward, streaming. Semifinal games will again be streamed by NSPN.TV. Reminder that NSPN.TV is formerly Prep Spotlight School Space. They did an absolutely amazing job covering our quarterfinals as well as our other tournaments so far this fall. Folks have commented that the pricing is very generous and allows for an awful lot of games for $6.99 a month. We would, of course, love to see all of your fans and spectators at US Bank, but for those that are not able to attend, please share this out with them. Championship games, as we prepare for 2 weeks from now, it will again be on 45 TV and not School Space or NSPN. Apparel will be on site at US Bank. Signage will share where they can find that. We do encourage you purchase early for best on site. Our apparel vendor is new this year. It is Signature Concepts, who is also known as Goldie's Locker Room. They have been doing an amazing job and actually end up going back and making more apparel as they start to sell out. So while we can't guarantee they're going to have every size of everything on site throughout the whole tournament, they do their best to do that. Online ordering is also available. That is open now. Up until the 22nd, they're going to try to ship on about the 22nd or 23rd to everybody who orders online before that. And then anything that comes in after about that 22nd or 23rd of November, those will get shipped out after the Prep Bowl. So again, just as you think about your players and your fans wanting that apparel, on site is really that best purchase spot to get that. Bob referred to US Bank being totally cashless. Our merchandise vendor is also totally cashless. So credit cards and or debit cards are your options for that. Next slide just shows a quick look at that apparel. Again, I'm very pleased with Signature Concepts and would encourage you and your players to get and check that out when you're at US Bank. And then finally, programs. Programs are online only. They will be updated for the semifinal and teams removed from them to make that program a little less big for people to work through. That'll happen sometime this week. And again, I would encourage your fans to know this, view, print, bookmark, whatever that might be that works for them to have access to those rosters and other things on site at US Bank. And then I think, Bob, it's back to you to wrap things up here.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. Again, a wealth of information there for you. Feel free to rely on this meeting as well in the recording if need be. A couple of things. I do believe that apparel, your community members and your team are going to want what they have to offer, and you will have it before Christmas if it's holiday gifts this year. Whiteboards, I did, Ted, let's work on that on Wednesday to make sure in those alternative sites if we can get whiteboards for those areas. If not, we'll have to let the teams know. Ted, anything else that I missed or on chat for cleanup? Otherwise, we'll open it up for questions.
Yeah, I just got a few things to run through on cleanup, just kind of a list I made here. One, just remind your teams when they get off the buses to be in just regular tennis shoes. Walking in the hallways there, it can be slippery. So really you only want your cleats on once you get in the locker room, and then you walk on. They have some special padding that you take on to get onto the turf. Second, with the locker rooms, we just ask that again that you get in with them as quickly as possible after the games through the end of that first quarter. Your host will get you in there. When you go out to take the field, we want to make sure you get your stuff put in one end. And also when the game's going to start, we want you in the tunnel with 3 minutes left of the preceding game, so we can get you out on the field as soon as possible. We don't want to have to wait to get you on the field because the schedule gets backed up that way. The host will communicate that with you as well. You do have 20 minutes in the semis, if I have that correct, Bob, and then you need to be lined up at 3 minutes. So as people ask, can we warm up in the hallways? If you have tennis shoes on, there is some space to do some light stretching and some running in the hallways under there as the teams prep to play. And then you can come out a little looser than maybe just by sitting in that locker room. So there's plenty of space for that down there. So that's why those tennis shoes help as well. For the finals, it's going to be 22 minutes. I'm sure we'll talk about that in a few weeks as well. We do have a pregame ceremony at 3 minutes. We line up with the captains and then the coaches and the rest of the team on the hash mark from the headquarters or Legacy Gate side all the way down the hash marks. And then we do a pregame handshake at that point. So that's something to just review with your teams after the game. Coaches, when you round up, please go to your sideline because we'll bring the next teams on right away. And occasionally a team will try to circle up on the 50, and we want to respect the teams that need their 20 minutes after us and so they can use their full field to warm up after that. And just a side note, Bob, I don't know if we're gonna have a meeting prior to the finals, but we're gonna shake post-game handshake in the semis, but in the finals, we will not do a post-game handshake. We'll go right to the award lines because we covered that in the pregame there. Finally, a transfer of care form. I don't know if that was mentioned at all, but with the trainers, if you want that, please bring that filled out. You can find that on the website as well, or have your trainer have that and get that to tournament headquarters prior to that. So I think that's my list. Look forward to seeing everybody. I'll put my cell in the chat. Obviously reach out to your host if you have any logistic questions, but if you can't get a hold of them, you can always contact me. Anything logistical, getting me on and off. Bob, Jeff Erdman had a question about getting through security there. If you want to touch on that. I know we don't control that. I planned plenty of time. I said 30 to 40 minutes to try to go through that in the pregame, especially at the end there when it gets a little bottleneck with bands and teams coming in at the end of the day. But go ahead, Bob, we'll let you take that.
Yeah, you're talking the dock area, Ted, is that correct?
Yeah, getting through security. It seems to vary year to year. Some years it's like walk on in, and other years it takes forever to get them through. So and it depends on if the TV trucks are coming down and loading for the NFL games and all that. But
yeah, it really depends on who's down at the dock. Give yourself time, but don't get there, earlier than than that, that 2 hours. Otherwise there will be congestion down there. If we do get a backup, we would let you know as well, but it all depends on how many buses we have down there and getting those buses out to make sure that we get you in. Rosemont being at the end of the night, it might be better, but we may, depending on the games before you too, work with us if there are questions. Work through your AD, though that's best to talk to them, and we're happy to assist or work directly with you. Our team hosts, most of our staff are volunteers for the Prep Bowl. Ted and Ray do a great job of getting those team hosts. Treat everybody down there with respect, and we're going to give you the best experience that we possibly can with those that we have working the event. It's a small city that works down there at US Bank to provide this experience. Please treat them with respect. At this time, I'm going to open it up for questions. Feel free to unmute. I'm hoping we're done here in the next 5 to 10 minutes here. Thanks for staying with us. Questions at this time?
Bob, Joel from Ricori, just wondering, do we have to redo the logo or the transfer of care if they're the same?
You would not, Joel.
We're doing the admittance list, but
Yep, admittance list, logo. If anything hasn't changed that we can reuse, correct, Kara? We can utilize that information. Good question, Joel.
Right, only if there's revisions, send it forward. If it's the same, I have it.
thanks.
Hey, good morning, Bob. Maybe Bob or Ted. This is Joe Johnson over at West. Admin reps, I know I saw the thing about the AD on the field. Do they need to have a sideline pass if they're helping with student crowd issues? Do they?
No, you won't, Joe. And let me take that back. You don't necessarily need to be on the field. We'd like you down in front. If that's on the field, we'll work with you. We know who our ADs are. You will have access. If we need to get you a pass, sometimes depends on best security down there. They want sideline passes for everybody. We can get you that as well. Brent Schimmick did send me an email as well. Concessions is cash free as well. Good question. It is a cash free stadium, including concessions.
And Brent asked a question, like if you're the first game of the day, any of those 3 days, you can get on the field really anytime. You don't have just that 20 minutes. So once you arrive, if you want to do a longer warm up, it's fairly free to do that.
Just don't come more than an hour and 45 early. All right, any other questions?
Yeah, James Paul with Wheaton Herman Norcross.
Yep.
Maybe it was answered. My principal came in for a little bit. Can we set up end zone camera?
Absolutely. Yeah, you're going to be down on typically that Legacy Gate area Saturday, Ted. They may be closer down to that other end. Basically, you can't cover the play clocks. But in that Legacy Gate area, there's cutouts for cameras. We try and have them what would be on the north end of that sideline there. But there is a spot for that. Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll assist you with that camera placement.
All right, thank you. And then my next question was, are there showers for the kids after games or not?
Yeah, there'll be showers until we get kicked out of the team room. So those late games on Saturday, you have to check with your hosts and come through us on that. But if you're in any of those other times, you'll be fine to use showers if you'd like.
Yeah, as of right now on Saturday, we have no locker rooms that we traditionally use. They're family rooms and other meeting rooms that we're going to have to use. So work with your team host on if that's something that you'd like. No, that's Saturday, both of this week and then even of the Prep Bowl. We could have difficulties as well. Well, there was a Sunday game on that day as well. So those Saturday games are going to be difficult with showers. I did note there was somebody that uses that sports scope at versus huddle. I don't know if that was maybe Jackson County. Again, you're on your own for that video. We're not going to have the technology or the expertise to be able to assist you on that sideline. All right. Going once, going twice, going 3 times for questions. Otherwise, we'll conclude this meeting. Kara, if we could grab that chat too, if there's a way to grab that, I'd like to take a look at it and get any other questions answered. Any other questions? All right, we're gonna work with you. We're gonna make this a great week. Again, I'm very thankful we're indoors this week at US Bank Stadium. Looking forward to 14 games of football. Let us know how we can help get that information into Kara so we can make this a smooth week. Thanks for staying with us here close to an hour. We'll get this meeting back out to you. Thank you to Ted and Ray for the work that you do here in hosting and our officials. Let's have a great week of football. Thank you, everyone.